Hi Fellowship family. For those of you that don't know me, my name is John Christian, and I'm speaking to you from the sun-scorched, sunshine coast of the Algarve in Portugal, where I'm residing right now. Such is the beauty of life. My chosen topic for the conversation today is how to have fun, learning from your own ego, even when you think you just made the worst mistake. And a great deal of this I learned from Paul Solomon, who you'll all know about, of course. So just a little bit of the story of how I came to be on the path of the fellowship and to meet Paul. As a child, like many children and adults that I've worked with as a coach, I was an intuitive learner, and as we would say nowadays, my third eye was wide open, so I could see people's thoughts and feelings and see their aura, and also the trees and the flowers and everything else. So as a child I felt completely safe, as if I was in this ocean of love that took care of me and everything else. But that kind of vanished when I was sent into the education system and asked to focus predominantly on thinking. So for me that was a shift from a solar plex gut feeling connection with life to a slower process of thinking, and in those days it would be learning to read the cat sat on the mat, one and one made two. Well, I found that process so slow that, to be honest, I was bored. So I was looking at the light again. I was fascinated with looking at the energy coming out of the teachers and actually going, well, why are they saying that actually when they don't believe it themselves? And look at how that's affecting us all on different levels. So I found that confusing, to say the least. But at the age of 7, when I know now from Indigenous that I've lived with, we should have gone through an initiation in keeping the third eye open. At the age of 7 I remember thinking, this is too painful. I just can't bear seeing what people are really thinking about me and others. So I decided to close it down, and it was kind of like taking a dimmer switch, you know, when you turn the light down. That's what it was like for me. As I turned the light down, I often jokingly say it was like then living in a brain without light. So, and that's where I stayed for 27 years, for fear actually of life, being afraid that, well, if I can't read properly, if I can't add up properly, properly, this is a scary place to be, where people are just going to judge you and criticize you. So I avoided a lot of things. Fortunately, because of my appearance, I'd be offered good opportunities, but I would avoid them for fear of people finding out that I wasn't particularly good left brain analytically. So Paul actually helped me to change that fundamentally when he came into my life. I lived literally, as I said, in fear until the age of 27. But the way that I was growing out of the fear was developing the show business ego. So by the grace of God, I found that I could sing and make people laugh, and people appreciated me for that. And I went, oh God, well, there is something about me that people like, and I feel good about when I'm doing it. So I went into this career and developed this, you know, ego self that you have to be the entertainer, the projection of that, whilst still internally feeling insecure and facing those fears every time I went on the stage for 17 years pretty much. So going through that was a lot of lessons in actually regaining my sense of God-given talents and abilities, and my appreciation for working my butt off to have those gifts to share with other people. I was invited at the age of 27 to sit in a meditation with a friend, and in those days meditation was just like a weird word that only weirdos did, especially from my background, because it was the pub and the sex and the rock and roll. It certainly wasn't meditation. So I went out of courtesy to a friend to go and sit with her in her group that she'd invited me to. I closed my eyes because that's what they had all done. I didn't know what the heck I was supposed to be doing. And to my total shock and amazement, I found myself both in and out of my body all at the same time. And I later learned that this was what the yogis call a Kundalini experience, or in the Christian story, it's the awakening of the 13th path, the central column, in which the life force flows from the base of the spine up to the pineal gland. And when the life force reaches the pineal gland, they now know with brain research, there's an arc of light that unifies the hemispheres left to right and back to front, forming a cross. And as that happens, the whole brain becomes this one single receptive unit for conscious intelligence. So I went into that, and as you can imagine, it was truly a revelation experience, from going into a room where I'm just thinking, John the Entertainer, what am I doing here? To suddenly, oh my God, there's so much more to me and us than we have any realization of. How come we've forgotten this? How does that work? How can that possibly happen? So, keeping a long story short here, I then set out to find someone in a physical body that could help me to understand a mystical, revelationary experience. And I heard about Findhorn, which is a community in Scotland where there were like-minded people seeking answers to the same kind of questions. So I jumped into my car and I drove for 9 hours literally to Scotland, Forres in Scotland. And when I arrived there, there was this buzz in the air. Everybody was buzzing about this man that had just left called Paul Solomon, who'd given this talk called Planetary Mystery Schools and Personal Responsibility. And it was just such an energy. And there were people from all over the world that were going on about this man. So I said, oh my God, I know, I've got to see him. Where's he gone? And they said, well, he's gone to London to do a Mind, Body, Spirit festival. So I did my week in Findhorn. And now I look back on that, Findhorn was like, I call it my greenhouse for a spiritual fledgling. And then I took off down to London, went to the Mind, Body and Spirit. I went into Paul's lecture. And from the performer's standpoint, I looked at this man and went, oh my God, what a speaker, what a visionary. And he was taking mystical experience and talking about it in very practical, down-to-earth ways through a system called inner light consciousness. And I just knew from that moment, I've got to be around this man even more. So after the lecture, I approached Paul in my then show business ego, laughy jokey John that gets paid thousands of pounds for being that person, and I walk up to him and I said, oh, you know, you're Paul Solomon, I thought you were amazing, blah, blah, blah. And he basically blanked me and walked away. So I was left thinking in my ego, oh God, well, that wasn't very spiritual, was it? After what I just heard, that was a bit of a rude kind of reaction. Anyway, so then he was teaching Inner Light Consciousness in London, the first program. I went to that program. I had similar out-of-body experiences in that program because I felt so safe and I felt so connected with like-minded people, really for the first time in my life, that I know that what happened is my mind completely relaxed. I wasn't in the mode of trying to perform or trying to be something or somebody. I felt absolutely safe just to be whatever it was that was me then. And in that experience, I reconnected, my mind reconnected with my heart and with my feelings and with my body and with the light again. And then I just so understood, this man is just talking about my experience of who we really are, our experience of who we really are. This light of conscious intelligence, so beautiful. So I literally spent 17 years coming back into the entertainment industry to earn money, to go back out and follow Paul and study with Paul, and to become a student with Paul more and more. And I was ordained or trained as an inner light consciousness teacher, and as far as I recall, I was the first ILC teacher in England. And lots grew out of that. We started a fellowship in the UK as well. But the important part about this is the stripping of the ego and the understanding of how we can learn to learn from ourselves and our own ego process if we're willing to be conscious enough to recognize the truth within ourselves as opposed to the non-truths of our conditioned ego self. So I often say in my training programs jokingly, we can have a hard-boiled ego or a soft-boiled ego. When we've got a hard-boiled ego, then it's hard for people to get through to us because we're resistant. We've put up this barrier around ourselves. I watched Paul try to give pearls of wisdom to so many people, and they had that hard-boiled ego of defense and fear and insecurity and self-consciousness around them. The gift never really went in until sometimes many months down the line when he'd given it several times. So watching that all the time, and then again going through my personal experiences where once Paul was standing on the porch at Hearthfire Lodge in Shenandoah Valley, and in my show business ego I'm saying, oh, there's the guru, I'll go and get a pat on the head from my little ego. Maybe he'll tell me, oh, you did these amazing past lives and what a hero you were, blah blah blah. Anyway, so I go walking up to Paul like this, hi Paul, and he looked me up and down and he went, don't be on stage all the time. No, you can imagine I was literally shattered in that moment and wondering, why on earth did he say that? I mean, people really pay me thousands of pounds to be this personality ego self. It's who I am. I've spent over 17 years developing this self, and now I've met somebody who just looks at it and goes, oh my God, get out of my life. So I spent 3 days recoiling from that one lesson alone and having to consider, why would he say that to me? And it was so good because I was in a synthesis program with him at the same time. So I was being helped by Paul's teachings in Inner Light Consciousness to understand what I'd just been through, and that process of how the false ego needs to be recognized by ourselves consciously, and then we need to join in the process of growing out of what we've grown into, basically. So the whole journey is about that. The Buddhists had this wonderful saying, there's only one enemy, guess who it is? There's only one battle, guess who it's with? And I realized from those kind of sayings and listening to Paul's profound knowledge of the Come Alive Bible and everything else he was teaching that was coming from source, as well as Paul integrating it into his own personal life, I realized that, we truly are in a school, and we are both the teacher and the student all at once. But so many people have not been given the blessing and the opportunity to be exposed to that knowledge, to gain the self-awareness, to go, oh my God, I am truly the only person that gets in my own way. My mind is the builder. So if I borrow light and I create thoughts and feelings and emotions and behavior with that light that is not in accordance to the truth of the light as I know it in my own heart, I instantly pay the price, which is called instant karma in yoga, or Paul referred to it as victim consciousness. So when we feel like a victim and we behave like a victim, unfortunately we attract more of the same thing, equally reverse the other way. So Paul actually said to me one day, you are so convinced of lack in yourself in some way that you look for proof of it everywhere. So you actually cause people to get frustrated with you, and then they act with a bit of frustration when actually they really care about you. But then you look at that frustration or hear it as criticism, and you repeat the same old pattern. You say to yourself, you see, there's the proof. There is something wrong with me. So Paul did a source reading for me, and in the reading it said that it was imperative for me in this lifetime that I erase such thoughts, beliefs, conditioning from the memories of the cells of my body. So I'm still in that process very much, but I understand now, thanks to the fellowship and Paul and inner light consciousness, what a profound blessing that is to us all if we look closely at the truth within it and seek to understand that within ourselves. Oh my God, I am a student in a mystery school. The first mystery is I'm the only lesson there is. I'm the only one that ever gets in the way. And if I don't have the skill of the tools of a program like Inner Light Consciousness to recognize how to be true to myself, which is why the Bible says to yourself be true and it will set you free. So how do I recognize that the me I often think is me by habit of process and conditioning every day is a complete conditioned facade. It's not the true self at all, but that true self is sitting in the background, whispering through every breath, through the heart. Please don't think like that. Please don't speak like that. Please don't behave like that. Please stop what you know you should stop and do what you know you should do. But the Chinese have this lovely saying, to know but not to do means not to know. That's my personal experience from my wonderful, blessed journey with the fellowship and all of you guys that continues, and I'm so pleased for that. It's a constant learning process. I feel so blessed that I've been able to take my personal experience from all the things I've learned into the world and to share them with other people and to see what a difference it's made also in their lives, for them to realize there is a light, and that light is truly unconditional love. So the only judge there is if I take that light and I judge myself with it. So how to have fun, learning from your own ego, even when you think you just royally screwed up. I tell the kids that I work with, and the adults actually, when you hear those voices of self-criticism and judgment come in that Paul called the two thieves, just say to them, "Aha, thank you very much, but no thank you. I am not going to give you my attention as I'm used to by habit. I'm actually going to take the very energy I normally put into you that makes me get up and run around and feel bad, and I'm going to put it back in the right place." How can I put it back in the right place? I'm going to connect this mind with my breath, because the breath is the spirit. It couldn't be closer to God than in every breath. So I've got to, instead of think, oh my God, you're terrible, you made such a mistake, oh what would people think of you? I've got to think, thank you very much, but I will not allow this mind to play these games and to do this to me and to my central nervous system and my sense of well-being. So what am I going to do? Breathe. This is the motto I give to the mantra I give to the children. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Breathe, solar plex, relax, and enjoy. And then ask yourself, why am I here? Because I want to enjoy my life. Do I let myself? Maybe not sometimes. Why? Because I'm being my own judge and jury. So if I stop doing that, will I find what I know in my heart of hearts, what I've always wanted? I want to breathe, I want to relax, and I want to enjoy my life to the full as best I can. At the same time, I want to embrace the fact that I've come here to learn. So I'm going to screw up. But if I judge myself, does that help me learn? No, it just makes it worse again, because it's a bad use of energy. If I am discerning and I look at my errors and go, whoo, that wasn't a good way to think, that wasn't a good way to make myself feel, and that wasn't a good way to speak to myself or other people, then I'm a conscious student in my own body, in the school of life, with my own intuitive intelligence that was sitting there all the time saying, remember, don't think like that, don't speak like that, don't behave like that, breathe, relax and enjoy. So that's what I choose to do, folks. That's why I'm sitting here in these beautiful surroundings here in Portugal, and I honestly dare the universe to prove to me that if I'm willing to live by its rules and its laws of nature, it will support and sustain me. And it's been doing that for me through the last 2 years of traveling, during all this chaos and COVID stuff. I've traveled the world, I've avoided all issues and problems. My immune system is strong because I take care of it. I do my meditations and my practices each day to let this body be a relaxed, receptive instrument for the voice in every breath, behind all the other voices that's saying, let's finish on it, breathe, relax and enjoy. I hope you found this helpful, folks, and I sincerely hope to be with you in person before too long.